Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. It feels like we've been doing this forever, man, and yet the time just flies by. Another episode of the SmashBros AMA, brought to you by the Daily Dot. I, of course, am your host, Ian Double John Barker. This, of course, is the handsome Jacob Braille Wolf. Jacob, how are you this evening?
I'm excited. You mentioned that we've been doing it for a long time. It's almost half a year.
Almost half a year.
Yeah, it's very close.
That'd be 26 weeks, right? If I learned anything from elementary school. Yours, 52 weeks. That's 26. So that we've...
And 4 more episodes will be at half a year of this show.
You hear that, guys?
It's crazy.
Half a year. That's longer than a pop star's relationship. Anyway, we're very excited for our guest tonight. If you haven't checked it out, the chat is full of Mr. Saturns and Digletts. We've got, and that can only mean one thing. we have CLG's very own Nakat with us. Nakat, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, man, I am doing excellent. And that looks just about the same as any chat that I have when I stream. So this. I'm like at home right now, man.
There you go. Thank you so much to the chat for making our guest feel welcome. Nakat, we have a very special plan in surprise plan. What for you? We're gonna ask you a bunch of questions from Reddit. For those of you who aren't familiar with the show, every Monday we give a new guest to the R Smash Brothers community. The R Smash Brothers mods very graciously put up a new thread for us. You ask your favorite questions, upvote your favorites, downvote your least favorites, and we ask them live on the air to our very special guest. Nakat, are you ready?
I am ready, man.
You're ready. Let's go ahead and get to it right away. The very first question comes from Mr. Pika-Pal. What is your favorite brown ground type digging Pokemon?
All right, so I actually have a surprise because I know the question the people want, but I know the question that I have in my heart. My favorite Pokemon of that type is Excadrill.
Oh,
Shots.
Then I guess this video is sadly wasted. Are you sure you don't have another favorite?
No, I'm actually pretty sure that is my favorite ground type digging Pokemon. What the hell is this?
Not see
That's the wrong Pokemon altogether, man. No way.
There it is. And can we talk about the fact, the elephant in the room, which is that Dugtrio is just 3 Digletts hanging out together.
I don't really understand how that's a true evolution, but you know,
it's not like he got friends. Like
no, he squatted up, dude. Like he squatted up with
he's got the homies. Okay, that's fair. We'll take that one. Moving on to real questions. The real Mr. Willis wants to know, Ness has been considered to be a high tier in North America for some time now, while Japan has almost no Ness players and considers him to be mid-tier. What are your personal thoughts? Is he overrated or underrated in your opinion?
Okay, so in Japan, I actually think Ness is very underrated. Ness definitely has a lot of qualities that don't make him a mid-tier character, but I feel like Japan is also good at exploiting his weaknesses. Not all of them, but the people that really do know how to exploit his weaknesses do generally have that feeling that he's not as good as, I guess, America's making him out to be. And I'll turn that over to say that America actually overrates Ness. I remember at the beginning of the game, I was very fond of Ness being like the 5th best character in the game. But gradually, as time progressed on, the meta shifted towards people learning how to really abuse Ness's recovery, abuse the fact that his landing options aren't that strong. So Ness players would begin to get juggled when they are popped up into the air. But the real key thing that Ness is beginning to struggle with is getting back to the stage, because while his recovery did get buffed, it's still pretty easy to kill him. Like, I'm actually confident enough with any character in the game that I can probably edgeguard Ness better than most people can with their main. I really do that, like, because on my stream, Onet Boys, so I fight a bunch of Ness players. Even when I fight other top-level Ness players aside from myself, I don't care if I'm Fox. I will edgeguard you. I will go off stage and try to kill you if you up B. And that's really where Ness falls short in terms of all the other, really good characters, because most of them don't have exploitable recoveries like that, let alone recoveries that can just get eaten by a down B, Rosalina. So when it comes to making it back to the stage, you have to really think outside of the box when recovering and use all of your other tools and really try to not have to rely on using your up B, because that is like the sign of death against any really good player that knows how to gimp Ness.
Do you think it's fair to say that Ness would be a better character overall if that was buffed to be a little bit faster, like his up B motion?
If it was a little bit faster, yeah, because it would make it very difficult for people to time going off stage to hit him. They would be taking more of a risk too, because if you do incorrectly intercept that up B, you will die personally. And so I feel like, yeah, maybe a buff in speed would be great. I think it would be a lot better too if it was if it had the same kill strength it does, but had Lucas's property where the up B goes through the opponent. That would be really good, but of course, you don't want Lucas and Ness to be similar in that respect. But if Ness had a tether like Lucas, oh, man. That would be gold, man. Rosalina, all right, whatever. No problem. But we're given the cards that we've been dealt, man. So I think Ness will never fall outside of the top 15 range of characters, but I think he's literally on the line or bottom of top 10.
And I hear your struggles with Ness's recovery. It turns out that there's a character who's actually got a great sort of recovery option off the ledge that I sort of wish Ness had. Where you hit up B and he sort of flies into the air. He's not normally an animal that flies naturally.
Are you talking about Sonic?
I might be talking about a large penguin who could sweet spot like a motherfucker. Just putting it out there, secret tech. Don't tell anybody I told you. Wink, wink. Moving on. So the problem with Ness obviously is that he's got that unreliable recovery that he's always had since like the Nintendo 64 days. I will say that every time I see a Ness start to try to recover, hit that up B, I feel like, well, this is just never gonna end well. I mean, is it so bad that he's at like Little Mac proportions where like once you're off the edge you're just done nowadays?
Absolutely not, because the smarter the player, they know how to not really rely on the up B all the time. It's really when good players put you in the situation where you're forced to use it that it becomes a problem. So sometimes when I'm recovering, I think to myself, all right, so he hasn't really punished my up B a lot, so I feel like he over respects it or he's afraid. Therefore, I can be a little bit more greedy with that move. But if I'm fighting like a really good Sheik player or a Rosalina, up B is the last tool that I'm going to use to recover. I'll use my regular jumps. I'll try to fake them out, air dodge onto the stage, or use an aerial onto the stage. There are just a lot of different ways that you can get around using the up B, but they're all exploitable. So you want to just try to make your opponent always have to guess when you recover, because most Ness players will literally burn their second jump and then they'll just up B and they're going to die for it. At least if you're fighting me on my stream, I'm going to kill you for doing that. But if you continuously air dodge onto the stage, I'm also going to kill you for that too, because you're going to use your second jump to do that. I hit you away, then you're forced to use your up B, you're dead. And that's the thing when I'm training Ness players on my stream, that's the thing that I try to beat into them like immediately. You have to be very smart with recovery, because if you autopilot it, good players are going to kill you.
That's interesting. I gotta say, as a DDD player, I don't have that problem. That's so weird.
It's DDD, man.
That's
but
so weird
I wonder what other problems you might
have. Landing any hits whatsoever that aren't forward tilt or the neutral air. Anyway, I think you had a follow-up question, Jacob.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you think? You mentioned meta earlier. How do you think that? The new DLC characters have they made, like, how have they affected the game for Ness? Have they made it worse for him or better for him?
Let's see. I think Ness does fine versus Cloud. I think Ness actually does one of the best versus Bayonetta. And wait, Lucas. I think Lucas and Ness is pretty much like I consider it to be kind of even. Mewtwo is, I think Ness beats Mewtwo. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, and Ryu, Ness does very well versus Ryu too. So in terms of like the cat, Corrin, almost forgot about her. I actually think Ness struggles against Corrin because she, sword characters are kind of weird versus Ness because of the range that they might present. So it's a little bit hard for him to get in safely. But when recovering, if your character has a good enough counter, Marth, Lucina, Ike, Corrin, like it takes them to just go off stage, down B your PK Thunder, and you die. You're done. Like, Ness can die at 25% from Corrin's counter. So that is a really that hurts, man. That really that hurts badly. So I think that she's probably the only one that really presents a threat to Ness. But other than that, I feel like that wouldn't really change Ness's like tier or position in the tier list.
That's such a convenient segue, talking about DLC characters, to our next question. Wario Mustache wants to know, as a player known for dressing up as his mains in order to better understand them, could we be seeing a Baya Nakata cosplay down the road?
Baya Nakata cosplay. Wait, man, I never said I was maining Bayonetta though.
Oh.
I said I would try. But a Baya Nakata costume. All right, man. I am not cross-dressing. I think that is definitely that's a realm that I just can't see myself stepping into. But if you find a cool cosplay that's for guys that kind of looks like Bayonetta style or something, you know, I might hook it up. I'm not the one buying it though. See, I have this sub called Lunch Bunch Clash who bought the Fox cosplay that I own and the Ness one. So if you guys want that to happen, you gotta talk to him, because I am not spending money on that, man. I can't do that.
They should have had a guy version of Bayonetta like they do for Corrin. So
like Barry Netta?
Yeah, Barry.
That's trademark. No one could
You
use
could have
it.
pulled it off.
Well, you could always gender bend it. People do like gender bent costumes like all the time. See, I mean, how hard would it be to get a bunch of fucking leather and chains and stuff and mimic that
like
stuff? You get like the squall jacket from like Final Fantasy VIII. I think that
But
would.
you're still gonna have to have the really, really long hair, so you're gonna have to like grow out dreads, and then you're gonna have to like
Oh wait, no way, no
and
way.
then you're gonna have high heels. Like let's
Okay, you get like you get like combat boots or
Boots.
something like that. That's the men's high heel. I think. Anyway, moving on to our next question. 109056, regular contributor to the show. Welcome back. As a player who is quite inconsistent with results, how do you feel dealing with negative feedback?
Let's see. I feel like my two most inconsistent results were at CEO and Evo. Around the time where I was dealing with a lot of stress outside of the game, I have this like perception along with other top players that people don't really understand that you're not a machine built to just always perform, play the game. You know, there are other things that can be happening in life that take precedence over whatever, you know, you're trying to do in terms of being a competitor. So CEO, actually a tournament I was really excited for, I didn't plan on going to. And when I announced that, like, you know, fans were really upset. They really wanted me to go. And so I decided that, yeah, I'll go. I'll just do it. And that did not turn out well. And I wasn't surprised, but I was really, it hurt my mentality a lot. And then right after that, the next big tournament was Evo. And it was like, you know, Evo's really important to me. I want to go out with a bang. First Evo. Yeah, man, I'm going to always try to win because that's always the goal. But didn't do well at Evo. And while I still wasn't in the right like state of mind, I was still going to go to Evo anyway because it's Evo. Like, you don't want to miss that. So after that, that took another toll to my mindset. And I kind of felt like, all right, so maybe this is the slump that most players maybe hit at some point in their career. Because before those two tournaments, I was like on a warpath. I was winning things. I was like beating a lot of people. It was great. And then right after that, it started to get harder. And so I wasn't in the best of spirits. But I constantly had to remind myself that things happen and that it matters more how you bounce back from defeat, I guess. And so immediately SmashCon was the next big tournament after that, and I top 8'd SmashCon, and that was a really good boost of morale because it's like, all right, I can do this, no problem. While it may be harder, I can get back to where I was. And it's been like a constant climb trying to get back to that. You know, characters are becoming weaker in some rights while others are becoming stronger. So there's a lot of things to always be ready to adjust to. But aside from SmashCon, I think my most recent performances haven't been bad at all. So PAX happened. That was my most recent tournament. I top 8'd that. And then I went to Genesis, and I did not top 8 that. And I was really disappointed because I really wanted to do the best I could at Genesis. But I ended up having like 2 upsetting losses. Upsetting for me, losses at Genesis. But I made it to top 32, something that a lot of players actually did not even make it to. A lot of players drowned in pools, actually. Players that are pretty crazy in their own right, other top players. And so they were just gone out of the tournament. So if you made it top 32 at Genesis, that pretty much was a statement alone in itself that will definitely go overlooked because most people really care about top 8. But other than that, like those 2 tournaments, CEO and Evo, were definitely rough patches in my career. But if you have a positive mindset and a good optimistic spirit, I think that you can kind of fight your way through any quarrel that you might face during your time as a competitor.
So I had like 2 follow-ups on that one. The second one just came up in my mind. You mentioned that a lot of the people didn't get through the pools at Genesis and that it was really rough. Originally they had come out and said that they were going to seed, where that I think it was the top 32 or top 64 were going to be bumped like immediately up. You were in that list, right? Or you were going to be in that list for the Genesis Wii U players that were going to get bumped up by default?
Bumped up by Oh, yeah. I was there.
Yeah, so, like, what was your reaction on that, like, when you heard that?
Oh, the floating thing?
Yeah.
I thought... Let's see. I thought, yes, a day off. Yes, I was happy about that. But the community, the Smash for Wii U community at least, really hated it. Especially... But, like, I won't like really give them a lot of slack for that because they were like, the game's new. A lot of people can lose in round 1, but I feel like everybody that was slated to make top 32 actually made it past round 1 pool, so that didn't really change anything. But round 2 is where things got really shaky, and even I knew for a fact that, a lot of stuff is going to go down in round 2 pools. That's pretty much like death bracket. So some of those people in the top 32 weren't going to make it. So I feel like something maybe like a top 64 float, something would have been better. I think Melee had top 64. I'm unsure. But it was definitely... I feel like there were wrongs and rights to both sides, but I feel like the people that were against it did not present their case in the appropriate way. Instead, they were very aggressive about it, sort of like attacking the staff. But all the staff wanted to do was free up more time for the competium goals that we reached. So we had events like the crew battles and stuff, and it would have given more time for top players to interact with their fans if it meant playing friendlies with people, things like that. Like, they wanted good to come out of it, but the community hated it and attacked them for it when they should have just been a lot more calm about it and presented their case that way. But that's Reddit, man.
Pew 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 pew.
Pew pew pew, man.
And then my second question was, how much does a sponsorship kind of like a really big name sponsorship kind of helped you be more consistent, if at all?
Excuse me?
How much is like a major sponsorship helped you be more like consistent and like more organized in terms of time and everything else?
It allows me to go to practically, most of the events that I want to go to. I like regionals and nationals the most because they present the best competition, the traveling aspect, and more opportunities rather than just going to locals all the time. I don't really have fun at locals too much. I used to during Brawl, but it's changed a lot since then. So CLG definitely does help in that regard a lot. And of course, being a sponsored player, you always have this thing where, okay, you want to make your fans proud, but you also want to do your sponsor good as well. So it's just an added boost of morale, but that can also kind of, depending on the person you are, affect you too, because if you don't perform well, then you feel like you now let down another entity. Oh, and it's like, yeah, it could get rough, but I don't really have that, honestly. And they're very happy when I perform well, and they pick you up when you lose too, as a sponsor should. They shouldn't, like, I guess, really snap on you for not performing. Instead, they try to fix the problem and work through the problem instead of working around it.
I literally thought you said...
Wait, what happened?
Our
you
video
see
producer
your camera,
just...
but our producer pointed out that a wild Kitaro has appeared.
Yeah, he zoomed in on Kitaro's face.
I was like, that's like a Bigfoot sighting. The way like the fig got all grainy and like we could have like darkened it, put like a bright circle around it. Like here you could see the hunters still don't know what it it was. We have actually a follow-up question to that I actually I'm really interested to hear the answer with. CChan9056 also asked, you talked about a little bit about how CEO and EVO didn't go so well for you, but you did amazing at STR, SSC, Genesis, and PAX. How did you make the jump so quickly? And you talked a little bit about mindset. What from a practice standpoint did you do differently when you sort of resolved to get through that slump?
Essentially, I was kind of just asking myself, why did things go wrong at these two tournaments, and what can we do to improve? It's almost like, just kind of talking to yourself in your mind, getting better acquainted with the issue rather than just eating yourself alive for it, because that's easy to do, and a lot of people still do it, especially top players, because we weren't in the spotlight as hard in Brawl as we are in Smash 4, especially with the game getting so much bigger. So you'll see comments on YouTube channels, Reddit, and it doesn't matter what player it is or what good the player does. Like, people will try to, they're savages, man. They will try to tear you alive for just, they'll look past your wins and they'll try to eat you alive for your losses. So it's like, no matter what good you do, there will always be people that don't care and will wait for you to mess up, whatever reason it may be, or whatever reason you might have haters. I don't know. But I just kind of took it to just try to help myself and do what's best for me. I had to put back, the fans and the haters and people watching for a second and really take time to focus on one person, myself. Mm-hmm. And so I just told myself that, life is hard at the moment outside of Smash Brothers, and the performances made life harder, which sucks, but I can do it because I came from nothing in Brawl. I literally did not have anything. I was a guy that went to a tournament with a terrible tag, and I got last place. And I couldn't take a life off anybody. That was me. That's my story. And then you have Keitaro on the back. I think I played him at my third tournament, and he destroyed me with his pocket characters. So yeah, you see that? Yeah. Actually, we found him. So I got bodied. So if I can come back from that and rise to the top in Brawl, I can surely do bad at those two tournaments and come back and try to make a statement again. And most of the time, I'm not even trying to make a statement for haters or anything. I just try to play for the people that support me and play for myself. I feel like most people need to put more focus on that. And if people are acting really stupid on a forum, just block it. I'll be truthful, man. Before this AMA, I had our SmashBros blocked on my computer because I don't like seeing negative feedback, because truth be told, when it happens to me, it happens, that's sure, but it doesn't happen all the time because I'm not an enemy to the community. In fact, I think I'm one of the more better figures for Smash 4. But when I see it happen to other people, it really makes me upset. And I don't like that negativity, man. So I just block it. And since... You're going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, and there's a big difference between constructive feedback and negative feedback, isn't there? There's
way big difference.
There's this effing sucks, this is stupid, this is terrible, kill yourself. And then there's, you should have bared when you should have fared, or you bared when you should have fared, instead of running up for the grab, maybe try to play the neutral game a little bit longer and find him, force him into the edge in an edge guard situation. I mean, are there people around you that are giving that to you that you've sort of decided to listen to more, or is it a matter of still looking out there and filtering the good from the bad?
It's both. So I have the people that really do, my fans here in the chat, as well as my crewmates and things like that. And so they'll try to help me a bit and they'll give me constructive criticism. But even in those Reddit threads, you will have those couple people that are actually really cool and will say things. And even if I don't know who they are, I always appreciate it. But then you have to, again, filter through that stuff. So instead, because since I have to do the filtering, I'd rather not just see anything at all, especially if it's about me or anybody else. And I just block it all together. And I try to learn from myself and my friends and other top players. We do help each other from time to time. So that's the way I kind of practice. And I think mindset is more important than execution, because you could have the best execution in the world, but if your mindset is not strong, you will crack under pressure. You'll crack during competition. You'll crack under the hate or even the love sometimes. And so you just have to be very strong-minded. And when it comes to executing, well, I play a lot of Wi-Fi, especially whether it be with my fans or people around my level. I do like to actively go out and practice, especially before a tournament, Zero lives an hour away now, so I play with him a lot.
Nice.
That's pretty much it. It's playing and thinking the right way. And if you can't do both, then you're going to be in trouble.
There you go. Well, I wanted to sort of follow up. I mean, this is obviously a serious, a little bit of a heavy topic when you have to deal with all that pressure and all that hate. But we do have another serious question here. It's actually Tech the Fan wants to know, do you believe that one day you'll evolve into a Dugtrio, or will you forever be a simple Diglett?
You caught me so hard, man. I was actually ready for like a serious question. I believe will one day evolve into a Dugtrio.
Yeah.
I don't know the criteria for doing that, man. I don't think there's a milestone.
Wait, I figured it out. So he has Void and Kataro in the background. If they all get together in a circle, can they be a Dugtrio?
You just need two friends to be a Dugtrio. Well, then I've been a quad trio at the office all day. I don't know, man. That's pretty weird. I mean, what do you call a bunch of Eevees hanging out together? A bunch of Eevees. Like,
I think I want to ride solo on this one. I'll just stay with Diglett.
It's okay. You'll get your moves sooner anyway. The stat gains are overrated. As long as you get your LV right, you'll be fine. So you just gotta.
Okay, Nintendo, listen to us here. We need Diglett in Smash the next version.
What would it look like when he jumps though? Oh my god.
Diglett would not work as a character.
he just doesn't come out of his hole.
Watch us get some dumb shit like Golem or something.
Magikarp, the Smash Brothers character.
I mean, we're getting Gyarados and Pokken, so you never know with Nintendo.
How does that? Well, he flies a little bit though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he flies.
He's like a flying.
I don't know what to expect honestly from Pokken. I'm excited though.
I'm excited that it's at Evo, but nonetheless, like.
I can think of a lot of people who aren't excited that it's at Evo.
That's true.
I'll reserve judgment for once it hits the main stage.
Okay.
Moving on to our next question, Juntabeast, welcome back to the show. Wants to know, how do you feel about Lucas in today's meta?
Okay. Dude, I have so many Lucas fans for I don't know what. I don't know why. But Lucas, how do I feel about him in today's meta? A very unexplored character, and a character that has not received the spotlight, but has the ability to receive the spotlight. The tier list has him pretty low right now, something I strongly don't agree with, but I feel like Lucas is a character that can work his way into at least the bottom of high tier. Lucas, from the times that I pulled him out, I've seen success, measurable success at least, and I feel like if I were to take Lucas more seriously, I could be that person to bring him to the spotlight, but I don't really have a reason to play Lucas outside of being a wild card because I already play really, really good characters. So I do hope that a premier Lucas player just comes out of nowhere and destroys everybody. That would make me very happy. I think he's strong. I think he's solid.
It seems like a lot of people sort of see Lucas, I'm sorry, not just Lucas, but any of the lower tier characters as sort of an underdog story, right? I mean, the whole idea behind Smash is that anybody from the cul-de-sac, for anybody from a professional gaming team, anybody can be a great player. And so I wonder if there's a little bit of that involved in wanting to bring low tier characters into the spotlight. Or maybe it's just a bunch of people who say, "Hey, a little blonde kid kicking the crap out of a fighter pilot." That's kind of a cool storyline.
I don't actually like. I feel like people always assume that the lower tier characters are usually underdogs, but some of those lower tier characters are generally just they just deserve to be there, in my opinion. But there are a couple of characters, like I'd say maybe a handful, that do have some kind of underdog quality and story to them that is just not being seen. I actually made a video about like my top 8 most underrated characters. Some of them not even being low tiers. Some of them are actually in the high tier section of the tier list, but I still feel like they are just still not given the respect they probably deserve. But yeah, I think those characters do have underdog stories, and I think that is pretty cool to have, because the life of the underdog is something that I've lived quite well throughout my years in Brawl. And while at the beginning and midpoint of Smash 4, I didn't have that anymore. It's kind of resurfaced in a sense because no matter how good you do, it only takes maybe a few times to mess up for people to start turning heads. But I don't mind. I don't mind like the story of the underdog. I actually like it a lot more.
Is one of them a giant fluffy penguin?
Yeah, let me just stop you right there. I just wanted to say, as someone who also plays a high tier character, I know what you mean. I mean, I play this high tier character with these great moves with absolutely zero startup lag. And, I feel like if people would just play King DDD, they'd see that they need to give up on Kirby and Charizard and Zero Suit Samus and the other low tier characters.
I think the chat and our readers/watchers will realize that I'm the sellout out of our duo.
Because you play Sheik?
Because I play Pikachu.
Well,
Good pick, man.
I have nothing wrong with Pikachu. Well, and let me actually dive into that for a second. One of my absolute favorite things about Smash Bros. One of the things that keeps me coming back is what I mentioned earlier, where like a little electric rodent can beat the crap out of like a giant. It's like
dude. That's what. Do you remember the Smash 64 commercial where they just started fighting and like something? I saw Pikachu beating up Mario and Donkey Kong. I'm like, what is this?
What does even have? Yeah, my mind when that thing first dropped, when it dropped for Nintendo 64, my mind blew up because like, oh my god, these are characters that play forever. I've spent thousands of hours playing Earthbound as a child, and when Ness was revealed as a secret character, I lost my bananas. I love that component of Smash that like tiny little boys in red hats can beat up like Captain Falcon with his rippling pectoral. I don't know. I like that.
No, it's awesome. I'm glad you look at the game that way.
I think we come to the point where Smash is like, which Pokemon shall we add next? Like,
are you kidding? They're constantly trying to figure out which sword character to add.
That's true as well. Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is, in terms of Pokemon, don't sleep on Jigglypuff. But we can move on to the next.
Speaking of low tier characters. Jermaire SSB wants to know.
Jermaire.
You got 25th place at Genesis 3, which is really good. But looking at the two sets you lost, what would you do different and do better to get the W in a similar situation next time?
Oh my God, man!
Have you thought about this a little bit? I'll bet you've thought about this.
You're bringing me to dark times, man. Those two. I think those are the worst two losses I've ever had in my career. Not because like of how close they were, just the way I went out, man. So under normal circumstances, if it was a 2 out of 3, I would have beaten Slayers and I would have 2-stocked him game 2. That would have been hype. But I got comfortable, man. And I was like, all right, I got this, man. And I just feel like, man, those losses burn me. I'm like, congratulations to Slayers for winning. But shit, if I just really focused a lot harder and not get bothered every time he was catching up, I feel like I would have closed that out. So I feel like a part of me secretly panicked, and I was having a really hard time getting the kill, and Slayers just started to play a lot more clutch. So he, got the 3-game comeback on me and actually took the set. Congrats to him. And then with Shaky, I was so confident because I love fighting Ness. And quite frankly, I go Fox versus Ness, and when I fight Fox, I go Ness. So I kind of like use my mains against the other.
Interesting.
So I fought Shaky, and I feel like game 1 it went bad, and I wasn't happy with it. I felt like I did not have a handle on what I was doing at that time. So game 2, I actually really clutched it out. I played very well. I gimped him with Fox with a back air, and I took that game. But then the final game, oh my God, I practically 0-to-deathed him his first stock. And then it took him to get me off stage once as Fox, and he did the same thing back to me. And it came to a matter of us both being at death percent. Anybody was going to take the game. Anybody. And so he actually got the noggin on me. He hit me with the up air. And Fox being a bit light, I kind of just died early. I didn't think I would die either, but I just died off the top. That was the set, and I instantly was like blown away. Like I couldn't believe it because I really wanted to win that match, and I feel like if we did get a rematch, things would go differently. Damn. Those matches hurt me, man. No, it's okay because Genesis was such an important tournament for me, and if I lose, I would rather lose like pretty hard, so I have more to learn from. But under those circumstances, those matchups were just so evenish that it all came down to a last hit scenario. Except for the Slayers one, I really felt like when I lost the Slayers, I had to leave the stage, I had to leave the venue and walk away because I wasn't upset at anyone but me. And I took those losses hard. I know when I left Genesis, even at home for a couple weeks, I would think back randomly to those scenarios and always think, what could I have done differently in that one split second? Like, what could have changed like the future or the outcome of that match? And you can think about it all you want, but you can only prepare for next time. You can't go back and switch it, man. This isn't the girl who leaped through time, man. I'm stuck. I am stuck. But I feel like next time things will be different. So it's remain focused, don't panic, and just keep believing.
You certainly can't go back and change those moments, no matter how much you want to. So much better to focus on going forward, right?
Nakat is a Journey fan. Don't stop believing that, man.
I love that song, actually, man. I love that
song.
I hit it at karaoke every time, man.
Oh, man. My go-to in karaoke is Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. I rock the shit out of that song. I'm going to tell you what. Anyway, moving on to our next question. Bimbo74 wants to know, how instrumental has having a close-knit crew like Leap of Faith been in improving your mindset and skill as a player? Has their influence made you a better person outside of Smash as well?
Leap of Faith is actually... Oh, man. Okay, so our crew started in 2010, man. These guys, that's not my crew. It's not my friends. It's my family. Mm-hmm. And so... they have been very instrumental in helping me improve as I've been instrumental in helping them improve. Our success really bounces off of each other, and everybody in the crew has that one thing about them that excels among the rest. So while some of our crew has some top players, we also have really strong content creators. People that get the hell away from me, man. people that help each other out a lot. Just I don't know, man. Especially with like opportunities in other areas, we just want to see everybody succeed. And so when it comes to practicing, they help a lot, especially when I need really good people to play with, that are just right next to me. I don't have to travel all the time when I want to practice, but they play a major role. Smash Brothers and Leap of Faith actually molded me into who I am today, and that's pretty much a little story of the Leap of Faith crew. We're the only crew to actually exist back from like way back then. I don't know if we're the longest lasting crew, but we possibly are. And we're still going, man. The train doesn't stop.
That's awesome to hear. And it's amazing how many stories we hear on the show that involve finding the right people to surround yourself with, and how that really makes a difference in people's careers. That's really cool to hear. Awesome. Well, moving on to our next question, we've got Jeremiah SSB again with another great question for us. You were one of 3 Smash 4 players, along with Zero and Nairo, with what most would consider a major sponsorship. What will it take for other Smash 4 players to get major sponsors, and who do you think the next one, and maybe ones, will be?
You don't sell yourself short. And even any of the community leaders and Smash Brothers would tell you that a lot of players actually do sell themselves short. There's a funny term. I won't say who made this term up, but some people like to call like these other sponsors garage band sponsors. So you know when people say, yeah, yo, I'm a part of a band, man, I do music, but you're like, okay, what's your band? It's like, yo, me and my friend just playing in the garage, like
Trash Monkeys, man. We're just waiting to blow up.
Someone made the term, yeah, man, these little sponsors are garage band sponsors, man. Or some would say chicken noodle gaming sponsors too, man. He calls them chicken noodle gaming sponsors. And so you'll see like most sponsors, especially outside of like the major LCS teams like CLG, Liquid, TSM, and Cloud9, they'll call them like chicken noodle or garage bands, like fake sponsors, things like that. But most players don't truly understand what a sponsor is or what it takes to really get those larger sponsors. And so they settle for selling themselves short instead of, aiming for bigger heights. And so what I feel like is very important, or what helped me with CLG, is already having an existing brand, a positive personality, and a strong fan base. So outside of just performing well at tournaments, you also have to essentially do things outside of just that, because it's cool that you're winning all the time, but what else do you give to the people? How can people reach you? How are your interactions with other people? You could win everything and you could be evil. Why would they sign you? Like,
I don't know. You should ask Leffen.
Actually, you know what? Let me backtrack that a little bit. Maybe some organizations like that sort of thing, but for the most part, no, they don't. And so I could say that my content creation actually helped me a lot. I did a lot of things on my own, took the initiative in making videos, guides, helping train players on stream. I made a training program on my stream for lower level players. Being a part of a Disney show also helped.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Whoa. What is this?
That's a gaming show in my parents' garage. It's a show in Canada, and it actually got really popular and moved to the US, and I actually got Keitaro on it too. So
yeah, they ringed him up and like had a thing where like it followed Nakat around Apex this past year. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's awesome.
So it's like, the big sponsors all have different criteria when it comes to joining their organization. So you really got to pick the one that best fits you and your personality and what you're looking for in terms of a sponsor. I think TSM, CLG, Liquid, Cloud9. I feel like I'm missing another team.
Winter Fox.
Yeah, those solid sponsors. Those are solid sponsors, and those are the sponsors that I feel players, like other top players, should really look for. But you have to go outside of just performing well. You have to really take initiative, build your own brand, and do things outside of that, because that's what's important also. It's not just about winning all the time. And here at CLG, it's a perfect fit, because their story of the underdog and being hungry for success and building great people into great players is something that I can completely resonate with. And this is the perfect org for me.
Awesome.
They asked in the question about which will be the next one. Well, judging by the jacket on his back, Void, wink, wink, wink.
Maybe he's just cold, man. Maybe Keitaro's just cold.
No. Void. Void's the one sitting over there.
Void's got a jacket on?
Void's got a hoodie on? What?
What?
I mean, I see he has a hoodie on, but I don't know what that means.
that logo on the back.
I told you, man. Maybe he's just cold.
I can actually tell you something right now. So I have a lot of fans, and I have this category called my sons. Therefore, I like to hook up my sons with gear. And so I hooked up my son with a hoodie, as well as my fans with giveaway prizes that are hoodies and things like that. So, I mean, you know what, man? You can look at that hoodie and think what you want. But I like to hook my friends up, and that's what your boy does. I hook them up. I definitely hooked you up. I 100% hooked you up. Get out of here, man. I 100% hooked you up.
And in all seriousness, I do think the next in line are Void and DeBuzz.
You want to see Void and DeBuzz with big orgs?
Yes.
Maybe we could see EG DeBuzz.
I told Rick
Fox. Actual question?
I told Rick Fox on Twitter to pick up DeBuzz, so hope he'll listen.
You told.
That's you guys talking about. I thought that was a question. I was gonna.
Oh no, Jacob is making wild conjecture on behalf of esports orgs of the scene.
What I can say is,
yes.
What I can say is that I am helping other players that I feel like have the best potential to get sponsored. I'm helping them in terms of what to correctly do to get sponsored by big teams, and DeBuzz is definitely somebody that I'm working with. There are other players that I really feel like have the potential to do it, but just aren't doing enough or the right things to do it, or generally just aren't interested, and that's fine. Some people don't want a sponsor. So I feel like out of the last candidates right now for Smash 4 that actually fit the criteria, even if it's just minimum to get one of these big sponsors, are DeBuzz and False. Nice. I feel like Void could also do it, especially with his motivation in terms of wanting to create content and be approachable for fans and other players and actually go out of his way to help people. I think him too. But like for the most part, Esam's already signed with Panda Gaming. Elliot, Ally, actually just left Boreal, but he is quitting after a year. So I don't really feel like I don't know Ally's feelings on trying to pursue a big sponsor, but I do know that he's not really big in the content creation area yet. and his Twitter, you have to maintain a certain kind of way on social media in terms of what sponsor you get, because one other sponsor doesn't care, won't say anything. But I would love to see Ally get sponsored. He was like my role model in terms of skill when I was up and coming in Brawl, and I made it my life goal to beat him in Brawl, which I got it too. So
there you go.
And then I got him in Smash 4 too. But you know what? I want to get that rematch, Elliot. So I hope you're watching. But I love Ally to death. But I don't really think at the moment he's like on the path to getting one of those LCS teams. I really feel like it's just False, Void, and DeBuzz. But DeBuzz has that stigma attached to him because of his character that, DeBuzz is boring, man. Oh, I hate watching DeBuzz. But that's like the hive mind, the Reddit hive mind, the Twitch chat hive mind, which gets really bad. And people don't appreciate DeBuzz for what he actually does outside of Rosalina not being the most fun thing in the world to watch. And trust me, I'm saying this from a guy that plays Ness. I hate Rosalina. I hate Rosalina. But I will not sit there and degrade DeBuzz because he plays that character. DeBuzz is an excellent player, and he's not a bad guy. Most of the Brawl community, especially us, like the top players, we definitely matured a lot through Brawl into Smash 4. So any silly things we might have done in the past do not represent the people that we've become today. And I want DeBuzz to sign with a great team because I feel like he definitely deserves it, and he's trying. He's making content. He's streaming. He's still going to tournaments and performing well. Sign DeBuzz.
You know what? I can
about 9.
I could actually see DeBuzz signing with Walmart because they're both cheap.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have a lot
Shot, guys.
DeBuzz, if you're watching this, I have a ton of respect for what you can do.
When he grabs you and does a roll, is that the rollback savings?
This rollback saving brought to you by Walmart.
Walmart DeBuzz.
No, seriously. I mean, like, obviously the reason that people get mad about the way DeBuzz plays is because he is so smothering, and people say it's his character. Like, yes, the character is capable of this. It's programmed into the game. That's the way it works. But obviously, DeBuzz is the only guy who's capable of deploying it at that level.
He's the only one. He is the best Rosalina, and I don't think you can argue that. He's a genius with the character. He created her. I'd say that.
Yeah, he's really is. I like to draw a lot of parallels between him and Hungrybox because they both play characters that everybody hates, and yet they do it so well that they turn themselves into enemies.
Hungrybox is a sponsored player, so you can hate it, but you can't knock it.
But you can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't, man. But sign DeBuzz, man. I'm waiting for it. I'm gonna keep helping him, because there's still things to work on in terms of like his all caps on Twitter and maybe stuff he says and the way he presents himself, but he's not a bad guy, and I think that it can work. And I think if a team wants to pick up DeBuzz, I know he was very interested in EG, so I hope he gets the team that he really wants, EG. But, Cloud9 would be awesome. I would love to just see another LCS team really jump into Smash 4 and make it even more interesting, because these teams are what really help grow our community. People don't really see that. And I feel like people do still have a misconception of what it takes to get sponsored and what it means to be sponsored. The community really does, in my opinion. So hopefully we mature in that area too and, become more knowledgeable on that as well.
Money that actually exists is just good for video games in general, because I've seen so many sponsors in fighting games and Smash games that come in and like, we'll sign you to this contract. A month later, they void it because they don't have the money to pay you. Like, it's nice to see places like CLG and TSM.
And frankly, I'd like to see EG get into Smash 4. I think that they're sort of sorely missed there. They're a great organization that's obviously done extremely well by PPMD. There's no reason why they wouldn't do great by another organization. Just a sort of a much older organization than a lot of the ones out there. They've taken their lumps. They know what they're doing.
Someone plead to AJ on Twitter.
Call Cool Gray AJ, I believe is his Twitter handle, and spam him for it. Anyway, before we run out of time, let's get a couple more questions. And the next one comes from Next Pain, who asks, "Who are the top 5 players in the world right now, in your opinion?"
That is so hard, man. That's almost as hard as making like the top 5 in Smash 4 besides top 2. So people believe in characters it's Sheik and Zero Suit, but in terms of players, you have those the best representation of that character. You have Zero at first and Nairo at second. Now, when it comes to 3 and everybody else, I don't know. I feel like if you go from 3 to 15, it's a jumble of a bunch of players. The buzz, actually, in my opinion, is practically set for third. So let me go ahead and exclude that real quick.
Sure.
So you'll have that top 3. But if you want to go from 4th to 15th, especially factoring in the rest of the world, I unfortunately can't answer that. It's very difficult. Yes, it's very difficult.
I think that's why a lot of people were mad about the floating thing too, just because like.
Because there's so little separating the good players that
It's-
to sequester a section of them, it seems I could see that.
It's very
I could see that.
subjective in Smash 4,
Yeah.
where's in Melee it's a little bit more succinct. As
Yeah,
Yeah,
who's
but
good and
see,
who's
the
not.
thing about that is Melee has had like years of
14
time
years.
to
Yeah.
to build that separation and skill, where Smash 4 has only been over a little bit over a year. So within more time, I feel like we can clearly, have that top 10 or top 15, and essentially also maybe the top 3 might get a little jumbled this year. You never know.
There you go. I mean, it feels like Smash 4 is sort of a foot race right now, and if anybody decides to sleep in that top 15 for even a month, that somebody's going to catch up and take their place. Gladly take their
Exactly.
place.
Exactly.
Japanese villagers will come your way.
Oh my God, Renai's villager made
that was a
me
show.
Aroused. It was. Oh, that was fun to watch.
That's one more thing, actually, I would like to say in terms of the sponsorship thing. I would love to see at least one Japanese top player get sponsored by a major LCS team out here. I think that would be bananas.
I think that would be amazing, and that's something that exists in the larger fighting games community that doesn't exist in Smash. There's very domestic sponsors. It's not a lot of, and I think part of that probably comes from the fact that the Japanese Melee scene is pretty much just AMSA. And VG Bootcamp grabbed AMSA, but other than that, a lot of people aren't really interested in flying someone clear from Japan, because at that point your operating costs are so large in comparison to signing a domestic player.
Definitely. I feel like if that were to happen, I feel like the player would probably have to move here.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I totally, because at that point you're spending so much money on flights that it's just, I mean, talk about, at this point you guys already don't get paid enough for winning to increase the cost of your plane ticket by triple.
Yeah.
You need to start winning tournaments if you want to pay that back. Moving on to our next question. Lazy Sean Lazy Seanemone? I don't know. Lazy Sean, I apologize if I butchered your name, Mr. Lazy. If you had only one sentence to convince a parent to let their kids go to tournaments, what would you say?
You shouldn't kill your kid's dream.
I like
that's
that.
the best way to put it.
Yeah.
There was a point in my career, especially when I was younger, that I wasn't allowed to travel or go to big tournaments. I mean, it was a hassle trying to get to my first tournament, and to even make matters worse, it was in a basement, so the place already looked sketch, and I was afraid that my mom was not going to leave me there, and me and my crewmate were just going to get taken home. But she trusted it. She spoke to the parents that owned the place, who happens to be the parents of my other crewmate, LOF Pee Wee. But man, you can't kill your kids' dreams, because I remember there's a time where my mom stopped letting me go to tournaments. Like, I was being held at home. I could not go to tournaments, and I had to ask to go. Oh, those were so terrible. Man, let me tell you something. It got to the point I got so tired of it that I started to lie. Don't, kids in the chat, don't follow after me. But, it got really bad. I would have to really just tell my mom, I'm staying late at school for this volleyball game or something, or I have practice. It's hours. And she would never call the school or anything. She would just trust me and believe me, and I'd go to a tournament, or I'd travel and leave the state. I'd lie, I'm sleeping over at my friend's house here for 2 days. Go to a tournament in Connecticut or something. Man, I was not about letting my dream die, because I don't know why she I don't know why she was holding me, and I never got an explanation. But after a while, she randomly started to let me go, so I didn't have to lie anymore. And then when I got to a point where I didn't need to ask permission anymore, I just kind of do what I want. I'm old enough, so I continued doing what I do. Now, imagine I had not done all that sneaking around. I had not tried to pursue it anymore. You know, my mom says I have to stay home. That's it. I guess it's over for me. I can't compete anymore. This would not exist. Nakat probably would not exist. The future would be different. Like, a lot of stuff would have gone wrong, and my life probably wouldn't be the way it is now. So if you want me to be honest, I'm very happy I did those things and that I didn't, allow her to stop that. That's no shade to my mom, of course. I think she might be watching, actually. So,
Oh yeah.
I was a kid, so I did some stuff, but it's all good because it all paid off, right? So
Look at me now, Mom.
yeah, that's all I have to say. Like, this is. I'm very happy I did those things, but try to reason with your parents, guys. Of course, you have to really explain to them what this is. I'd say bring your parent to a tournament, a major at that, so they can get a whiff of what this actually is. Because most parents probably have the idea that it's a trap, you're going to get ripped off, you're going to get kidnapped. They think of the worst stuff.
Oh yeah.
But we're just
Seems
all a
to be
bunch
parents.
of guys that just want to play games for money and do cool stuff.
You can't go to the tournament, you'll get hepatitis. That's
Yeah, man. Come on, man.
It was Jim Gaffigan that was like told the old joke about how his sister was like a really bad kid, and so since he was younger, that like drifted down to him. So his mom would be like, "You can't go rollerblading, you'll get pregnant like your sister." With my parents, it was the opposite actually, because like I did all the bad stuff, and so when my brother did it, they were like, just don't drop out of school. And I was in college. I was so mad. Anyway, that's I think that's an awesome way to look at it. It's not about letting your kids go astray. It's not about sending them off into the lion's den. It's about supporting what they love to do. And obviously, you sitting in that chair right now is proof that this is a thing. That if you've got the talent and you've got the gumption, this is something that can work out.
Video games changed my life. I could have easily, without games, been another guy doing bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but instead, my
You're
mom
getting
raised me
pregnant at the
right.
roller rink.
Yeah, man, my mom raised me right, and video games did the rest.
Now
Yep,
instead of
absolutely.
getting pregnant at the roller ring, you can smash and smash.
You get
My man.
Thank you to all the mothers at home who support our compulsive video game habits, because none of us in this chat right now would be here without your support. Nakat, that's actually going to do it for us tonight. That was our last question. Do you have any shout-outs, anything you want to say before we close up shop?
Yes. I actually want to give a shout out to my fans that are all in the chat, and those who actually didn't get the opportunity to watch. I still want to thank you as well for supporting me, especially at every event that I go to. You guys are definitely a part of the reason why I continue to do this and strive for excellence. So you guys are the best, man. I honestly appreciate everything you guys do for me, whether it be just watching the stream or cheering for me at tournaments, buying my jersey, or making fun of me and calling me a Diglett. It's all appreciated. I like the memes, by the way, guys. So if you ever think I don't like the memes, I do actually love the memes. You guys kill me, man. And then I also want to give a shout out to my mom, specifically because she raised me by herself, single parent, from the start all the way to finish. And so if it wasn't for my mom, none of this, including myself, would exist. And she is definitely one of the reasons why I continue to strive for excellence, because I want to make her proud and one day be able to take care of her the way she took care of me. And that is definitely one of my goals. And shout outs to my crew, Leap of Faith. Of course, love those guys. Those are that's my family, man, as well as my other family, CLG, that I recently signed with in October. And so these guys are the best. Like, literally, I couldn't have asked or gotten signed by a better sponsor. They literally represent everything that I am about as a player and a person. And so I hope to be with them for a very long time, because they make the Smash community and my life as a Smasher 10 times easier. And I love to support them in the other games as well, because the organization represents a family itself. It's not just a bunch of people that get really good players and we win and that's it. No, we actually do love to hang out, do things together. Actually, a secret, the most played game besides League here is Smash 4. Everybody plays Smash 4 here.
Nice.
Yes. So That's what we do. And then last but not least, a shout out to our sponsors, Razer, iBuyPower, G2A, Twitch, NZXT, and DX Racer.
You nailed that, man. You're new on the job, but you already nailed the sponsorship pitch. I love it.
I'm a man of many words, man. I'm a man of many words. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
And we appreciate all of those words you gave us tonight. Nakat, thank you so much for coming on the show. Jacob, I believe you have a little announcement about next week's guest. You want to hit us with that real quick?
Next week, all things considered, should be good. We will have the owner of VG Bootcamp, Mr. Gimmer, on the line.
No kidding.
That's hype.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to
I'll have to watch that. It should be a pretty good show. If you enjoyed the show, thank you so much for watching this evening. If you liked what you saw, hit that follow button, or if you're feeling particularly generous, hit that subscribe button. You'll get access to our awesome dumpster fire and shit hitting the fan emotes. For some reason, we picked the emotes that represent chaos in the esports community. What does that say about us as an organization? I don't know. If you want to check out the VOD after the fact, it will be up on youtube.com/daily.esports. Check us out on Facebook, daily.esports, and over on Twitter @.esports. I have been Ian John Barker. This has been Jacob Brailwolf. This has been the our SmashBros AMA brought to you by the Daily Dot, and we will see you next time.